What can you tell me about Tony Parker, and if the worst is confirmed, the chances of the Spurs without him?
Well, nothing official yet. Obviously didn't look good last night. I don't think anybody expects it to be anything other than a very significant knee injury that will keep him out the rest of this series for sure, and almost certainly the rest of the playoffs, but nothing official yet from him. I don't know how they beat them without Tony Parker. It was going to be hard enough with Tony. But his scoring binge that he had been on the last few games, you could at least make a case that San Antonio could score enough points so that maybe they could slow Houston down and win some games in the low hundreds. Without that and without his ability to create for other people, he tends to tilt the floor even now at his advanced age with his ability to get in the paint. Without all those things, I just think it's going to become, if not impossible, it's going to become extremely difficult for San Antonio to be able to match pace with Houston offensively. I just don't know that they can get enough stops to keep them under a certain amount of points. It just becomes very, very difficult. I'm not going to write them off and say there's no chance, but I think it gets really difficult now for them because now you have to start Patty Mills, who's really your spark plug off the bench offensively now. Ginobili is not an offensive threat at this stage. So it gets really hard for San Antonio without Tony Parker.
David Aldridge in the Honda Insider Report here on the Rich Eisen Show. The Spurs did just, as you and I had this conversation, David, announced that it's a ruptured left quad tendon. He's done for the playoffs. So it will be it will be Patty Mills. And what else? I mean, how does that affect the rest of Popovich's rotation? Best you could tell first blush upon the news, David.
Well, the simple math is you have anywhere between 28 and 32 minutes that you're expecting Tony Parker to play. And you're expecting all of those things that Tony Parker does to take place in those 32 minutes. Now you're going to ask Patty Mills to do that in 32 to 36 minutes a game, starting at the point guard, which means you don't have Patty Mills coming off the bench. You don't have that energy coming off the bench. You don't have that scoring coming off the bench. And now somebody is going to have to do something in those 20, 24 minutes that Patty Mills would normally play. They've got to now do what he does. And so there's a cumulative effect, and there's a cumulative wear and tear, and there just isn't anybody else on their bench that can do that. I just don't think. I think it would be grossly unfair to expect Jonathan Simmons to now all of a sudden score 18 points. It's just not what he does. It's not his role on this team. And so you can't just, that's why, it's not an excuse. You can't just lose Tony Parker and have everything be fine. It's not fine. They're a diminished team, and their margin for error, which was already small, becomes very small, even if Patty Mills plays well, and I expect he will play well. But you just lose another piece that you have to beat a team as good as Houston.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.
If you liked some of that, get some more of that on the Rich Eisen Show app. Follow all the information you see right here on the Rich Eisen Show.